Okay, so Sister Naziha, have you ever heard of the term Janji Melayu?
Of course I do.
So how do you think the term Janji Melayu will affect Malays and people's perception of them?
So basically, I think the Janji Melayu stereotype will affect them by when the individuals met with another Melayu, they would think that every Melayu they have encountered before would be the same, say like fake hop when they want to meet someone.
Okay, that is very insightful. Thank you so much, Sister.
Have you ever heard about the Janji Melayu stereotype before?
Yes.
In your opinion, how do you think the Janji Melayu stereotype affect the Malays and people perception of them?
Janji Melayu too, I think it's now becoming a part of the culture in Malaysia. Like, I think the other races already associate it with like, if Janji Melayu, it means that the Malay cannot be trusted lah. Janji Melayu now become the perception for Melayu itself because of what? Because of like, nowadays when we promise to come at a certain time, then usually like the other races will say, okay, it's okay, like, you have to be relaxed because they won't be here on time and whatnot. Even though we are on the other side, like, which is we try to follow the time and whatnot.
Alright, thank you, madam.
Hi everyone, welcome to our podcast where we discuss real life social issues through the lens of communication.
So today we'll be discussing about this one stereotype that is widely heard in Malaysia, which is Janji Melayu.
So basically, it generally identifies that Malays are not punctual, such as arriving late or cancelling plans at the last minute.
Well, as we know, Malays often has been attached with connotations like Janji Melayu, Melayu mudah lupa, Melayu malas, which actually land us under the bad presumptions by the others.
Okay, so now we will dive into this stereotype by applying the communication concept that we learned, which is social categorization of race and ethnicity. It is the act of grouping people into categories based on similar characteristics.
For example, if someone experiences a situation where a Malay individual does not keep a promise, they may start to associate that behavior with all Malays.
So it is considered problematic because it ignores individual differences and they enforces negative perception. According to the man, stereotypes are pictures in our heads that may not affect reality, but still influence how we see others.
Of course not. Research shows that this stereotype arises because of the limited experiences and the confirmation bias. As stated by Nickerson 1998, people have this stereotype because we tend to remember the instances to confirm the belief, but we ignore the contradictions.
So in the Malaysian context, this stereotype can also be influenced by historical and economic factors. It is not purely about behavior, but about how society labels and interprets actions differently based on race.
This stereotype refers to an oversimplified and often very unfavorable belief towards a certain group of people, and it can lead to our views narrowing towards them. And in our case, it's the Malays. So, stated by Samovar, Porter, and McDaniel in 2017, they said that these stereotypes can very well create barriers in intercultural communication.
So, in this case, the phrase Janji Melayu labels Malays as unreliable and not trustworthy.
So because of this, people tend to believe and expect that Malays are less dependable, which affects how they interact and even communicate with them.
So negative stereotype that Janji Melayu can affect individual self-image and confidence. It's because they are just not because of their action, but because of their ethnicity.
This is supported by Steele and Aronson 1995, who explained about the concept of stereotype threat. It is when individuals feel pressured or even anxious because they are aware of others' bad presumptions towards their group.
As a result, communication becomes less effective as people feel uncomfortable, defensive, and misunderstood.
So in conclusion, the term Janji Melayu is not just a simple phrase, but a reflection on how stereotypes are formed through social categorization and reinforce negative stereotypes in communication.
Therefore, it is important for us to be mindful in what we say, as these stereotypes can create barriers in our intercommunication.
So by understanding this concept, we have to avoid generalizing individuals and instead evaluate people based on their own actions.
So that's all from us, and thank you for listening. We hope this discussion encourages more thoughtful communication in our daily life. Thank you.
Thank you.